Today's episode of the StallSide Podcast was brought to you by Rood and Riddle Veterinary Pharmacy.
Bart, how you doing?
I'm well, Peter. You doing good today?
Good today. Yeah. So today on StallSide, a little bit different. We're actually going to talk to Pat Kline from the Central Kentucky Riding for Hope.
Yes. CKRH is one of the gems of the community, and they do some fabulous things. And this is an organization that you're very well informed about and involved in. And I'm excited to have them on the show.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be on the board, and it's something that when I first got to this town, you're sort of looking for a little bit of outreach and something to do. And I went to their fundraising evening called Night of the Stars, and I thought this would be a good thing to get involved in, and it's just gone from there. So it's a really good program. It's come from not very much. It's actually like nationally recognized, and it's something that the entire equine community gets behind. And it's really instrumental in the community because it does provide necessary services to people that need what it provides.
Yeah, they do a lot of good for people inside the organization, outside the organization. Very proud of them.
Yeah, it's one place you can sort of go that everybody wins here.
Yep.
Yeah. So this week on StallSide, we're going to talk to Pat Kline, who's Chief Executive Director of Central Kentucky Riding for Hope. Pat, welcome to StallSide.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I've been working at the riding program. I was thinking my way over about 22, 23 years now. Prior to that, I just was involved in the horse industry since I was a young rider. Did a lot of hunt and jumper kind of work, and had a couple of horses, owned two of them through my years, and enjoyed them, loved them, and just came to that love. But then I actually became a teacher and a guidance counselor along the way. So it seemed like a good blend to kind of mix the passion for the horses along with the ability to work with so many different kinds of clients.
Yeah. So you're a local girl, or did you move to Kentucky?
No, I grew up in New Jersey. And moved to Kentucky. Gosh, it's probably been almost 50 years ago. But I will tell you that when I was maybe 10 years old, I was in a little 4-H club up in New Jersey. And we put on a horse show and made a bucket load of money. So the 4-H leader said, what do you want to do with all the money we raised? Because it was a lot of money for a group of kids. And we, as a group, decided that we were going to come to Lexington, Kentucky. And we were going to tour horse farms and, get to see what the horse capital of the world even then was all about. So we spent our wad and rented an old school bus. And we traveled down to Lexington. We stayed in the University of Kentucky because they were out for the summer, and they would let you stay there for like a couple of dollars a night if you brought your own pillow and your own towel. So, that's what we did. And we got on the bus every day and toured a different horse farm.
Well, that's fabulous.
That is a great story.
It's wonderful because none of us knew diddly squat about the famous stallions that we were seeing, but we did know enough even as children to be in total awe. So the grooms would bring them out and walk them around in the stallion pen and walk them around in different areas, and we'd all sit on the grass and clap and, take their pictures. So it was very memorable. But on the way back home to New Jersey in the bus, I knew I was moving to Lexington, and I was 10. So every year after that, my parents said, "What do you want for Christmas?" I said, "I want to move."
That's hilarious. So we're here today to talk about Central Kentucky Riding for Hope. And as you've mentioned, you've been involved in that program for a long time, and you've really been instrumental in taking it from not very much to something that is fairly storied and is nationally recognized. So tell us a bit about the program and its development, and what really is the impact of this program in people's lives? Sure.
Well, the program is 42 years old, so it's been operating at the Kentucky Horse Park since its inception. A group of people that, I only know through the stories passed down to me. Dr. Peter Bosworth was the chancellor of the University of Kentucky, and Rusty Chenault was the executive director at the horse park. And in between there, they connected with a couple of ladies from a plane ride, as the story goes, where Dr. Bosworth was sitting next to the lady who was then operating the Mary Quattrucci, I think was her name, was operating the riding horse concession. And they were talking about, the benefits of horseback riding on people with disabilities was the conversation. And then they decided that they were going to try to see if they couldn't make something like that work at the park. And they got the permission from the executive director at the time and started up this riding program with a couple of horses that were borrowed from the riding horse concession and 2 or 3 people that happened along and said, I'll help. So, we didn't have a barn at first. We just all met there and they all did it. I was not there at the time, but they found it to be very successful in the first couple of years, and the results that they were seeing was some of the participants that they were trying to assist once they got on horses. So after a bit, the Kentucky Horse Park generously allowed us to borrow a couple of stalls long enough to tack up the horses that we needed for the night. And then I guess, for lack of better terminology, we just sort of squatted it after that. So we moved into the Kentucky Horse Park, old tobacco barn on the hill. And we were up there for up until 2009. We were up there, but we just had half the barn at first because again, people have told me that the Kentucky Horse Park Police used to have the other half. So half was the CKRH barn and half was the Kentucky Police barn. And after they got a new facility at the Kentucky Horse Park, then it just sort of morphed, into the CKRH barn. So now we had a big old tobacco barn full of horses and making use of the paddocks all around them. And like I said, it was more or less something we just sort of took over. And the horse park, by that time, after time passed, we also became certified by a professional group at the time, was called NYRA, North American Riding for the Handicapped Association. But now they're called PATH, P-A-T-H, which is an international organization that handles the accreditation of therapeutic riding programs should they wish to become accredited in their field. So as we gained an accreditation, the horse park, was really happy to let us stay there because it was a good thing to have at the Kentucky Horse Park.
Okay, but you moved on from the tobacco barn.
We moved on from the tobacco barn. It was a campaign that we called the Undercover campaign because really what we wanted was a place to ride our participants no matter what the weather was. We needed an indoor facility or a place with a roof because by this time, we had a number of children coming. I don't know what it is about Central Kentucky, but if there's a rain shower or a storm on the horizon, it's going to hit right after school. When it's 5 o'clock and all the kids are traveling over and then they get there and we'd have to cancel lessons because we're outside. So it became a real mission for the group, the board of directors, and for the group that was there at that point to try to get us in an indoor facility. So we called it the Undercover campaign, and we worked on that for a number of years. And it took a lot of time, but it was the best thing because we were able to get enough money, to build a building on a tract of land that the Kentucky Horse Park had generously agreed to let us build this building and gave us a wonderful gift of a 99-year lease. So the land is leased from the horse park for 99 years, and the building had to be ours. We had to we had to build the building and pay for it. So that's been the struggle for a number of years, was trying to get donors, to pay for the building, and B, figure out what we wanted to build was a big thing, and was it too big for us? But as it's turned out years later, sometimes you walk around going, boy, I could use another room, So it's good, and I can't even risk not saying that it is paid for, which is a big thing. That was a hallelujah moment for all of us.
Yeah.
So it turned out to be a very state-of-the-art facility for therapeutic riding, and has served us very well. We did a lot of homework before it. We went to see other therapeutic riding programs that had a year-round facility. Some of those programs were really played it forward because they were generous enough to sit us down and say, this is what we wished we had done different. And these are the things that are annoying in our building. So, it took us so long to raise the money that we had a lot of time to fix those things on our plans. Mm. So it was a bonus, and the building has served us very well. Right away, the building of the building led to all kinds of program growth because now, the doors open. you don't have to cancel. You can ride year round. You know, that was the other thing back in our tobacco barn. You could do it some of the time when the weather was with you. And daylight, we were always running out of daylight in the spring and the fall. So it became a real bonus to us to have the space that we could rely on, that we could keep it open. And it gave us a lot of opportunity to build our community collaboration model, which is how we kind of work. What that means in a nutshell is that we sort of took the approach of, okay, who are we going to work with? It needs to be a little bit bigger than just one child coming at a time to ride out there. So we try to work with a lot of other groups in Lexington that we can help them achieve their mission. So when you're helping CKRH, you know, you're also helping various other nonprofits around. I can give you a couple of examples, but, you know, one of our big partnerships is with the Fayette County Public Schools. They partner with us. We have a school on site that we named The Stables. And everybody at the stables is there because there's been some problem in their normal high school. It's a high school program, so there's been some problem, and they come out to us, and they are taught by teachers from Fayette County schools, just like any teacher. You would go anywhere to go to school. You know, it's teachers there. Fayette County serves their breakfast and serves their lunch. You know, they're brought in by a school bus, and they're there all day. And we you know, kind of take them in smaller groups out to do equine work in the barn and learn a little responsibility, learn what it's like to work with an animal, learn a little, I guess it's a real boost to their ego when they finally, some of the children, you think they live in Lexington, Kentucky, but they've never been around a horse. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of fun to watch them. You know, I've seen little girls come in the first week of school, and they're all out in the barn holding their nose like, ooh, this stinks. and then, you know, a week or two later, they're out there having a blast cleaning stalls. So, you know, or working with their horses. So it's been, you know, it's kind of a get used to it thing. And we have all kinds of horses in our riding program. So the smallest of them, the minis, are pretty active at first, because any child who's maybe a little tentative around horse, you know, it's a lot easier to start off working with the minis. They're a lot of scary.
Yeah. So can you give us an idea, like how many kids and how many horses you might have enrolled in your program? We
hoover around 28 horses, give or take. There's always somebody on a trail, somebody in a quarantine. You know, so we hoover right around that. Our horse herd looks like everything from minis to draft horses, everything from some thoroughbreds to Norwegian fjords and a couple of Rocky Mountain horses, you know, everything in between. We are our own parade of breeds out there.
Yeah.
So they're all over because we have so many different kinds of clients. They're all useful to us.
Yeah. Talk about, and we talked about Fayette Public Schools, but what about other participants that you serve? It's very broad,
yes,
the
it is.
Impact in the community that the program has.
The mission really is to serve people with physical, cognitive, or social emotional disabilities. Those are the things in a nutshell. So, you know, in essence, just to give you an example, like cognitive disabilities would be people with conditions such as Down syndrome, that kind of disability. And then the social emotional includes a vast number of mental health issues, you know, and things of that sort, veterans with PTSD, you know, all those kinds of things. And then physical disabilities, I think our largest population there really is cerebral palsy. You know, so, you know, we run the gamut from, you know, just about any kind of disability or any kind of problem you can have. You know, we can probably help with that by using the horses.
And how are the horses used? Is it all mounted activity or?
No. A great majority of our horses are used in mounted activities. We have lessons. Well, right now we're having lessons 5 days a week, but we're going back to 6 this fall. So we'll be having, you know, and those are mounted, but we do have opportunities for people that we either cannot mount because they have a contraindication or something of that sort, or that is just a mental health, and the groundwork with the horses is really just as beneficial as mounting them. our horses, you were asking about the horse herd. We have about 28, all different kinds. The vast majority of them have had other careers before us because we need horses that are very well seasoned.
Sure.
And so a lot of them have had a couple of careers sometimes before they make their way out to the riding program. But we can use them and, even non-mounted sometimes.
Gotcha. So you talked earlier about, some of the fundraising that you did early on to get the building built, but you've got ongoing expenses that have to be fairly vast. Is funding still an issue for CKRH?
Well, we're a nonprofit, and we've got a horse herd to maintain. So everybody's listening to this is in the horse business, so I think they probably understand that. So yes, it's always a challenge to fundraise. We support a lot of ourselves in a couple of ways. We have 4 fundraisers a year, everything from a small 5K that's coming up to a horse show that's at the end of March to the used tax sale, which is infamous in this part of the
Yes, it is.
tax sale that's coming up at the end of October. We already have a really big inventory stored for that, so that'll be great. And then we have our signature fundraising event called Night of the Stars, which is in June. And last year we've had it at our own facility. We've had it virtual. We've had it at Kline for a number of years. And last year we were at Fasig-Tipton, so we switched up a little bit.
Yeah, and I've been able to attend that a few times. Why don't you tell us about the Night of the Stars? Why that's so special?
Well, it's special for us because it is our signature fundraising event. We are dependent on the funds raised for Night of the Stars to really fulfill a big part of our budget. And so that's it in a nutshell, really. But the awareness factor, because people come to that and they like it, and it's a crowd of 500, and we can pretty well sell it out every year. So it's always well attended. We have a silent auction component, which so many generous people donate and bring us something, for the silent auction. It's a very huge silent auction. And then the live auction part is we sell sponsorships to support, our horses through presenting 8 of them that night with a rider on them. And we just sort of bid them out like they're not for sale, but it's just the sponsorship. And that's not as funny as it seems because, we have had a couple of horse farm people said, Pat, I'd have paid more if I knew I didn't have to take it home.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So
it's a fabulous event, and if those listening haven't been able to attend, it's well worth going to. It's a very special night.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that.
You guys do a great job.
We work hard on it.
Yeah, you do a fabulous job.
It's already started for next year, so we're working on that one. And the other things we do, we write a lot of our own grants. We are a grant churning nonprofit, so we fund a lot by doing our own fundraisers. We don't contract them out. We do our own fundraisers. We write our own grants, in house, and and then the rest of it is, we have a pretty big annual fund, which is really just a mailing that goes out around the holiday season, but that's really very successful too. In helping us to stay afloat. So we do the annual fund, we do our 4 fundraising events, we churn out the grants, and that's kind of how and just donations from people that happen upon us, when they come up and visit, or we're really off the foot traffic at the Kentucky Horse Park, so it's an ideal location for what we do. We're not really a spectator sport, but it's a great location for the things we're trying to do out there. So it is wonderful wonderful thing for, when people do come. And, a lot of times people come to drop off auction items, pick up auction items, and then they get out there and they start looking around and they're like, oh, So then we can make contact that way as well.
Sure.
We try to reach out to, we do a little program called Minis on the Move where we cart our minis around and go to things like nursing homes and schools and, try to reach out to people in that capacity as well.
So it takes a lot of people to make this program work. Tell us about the staff and especially the volunteers, which really are the engine room.
Yes, that is exactly well put. Well, because we are a nonprofit, we have a small staff. So we have 11 people that work for us. 9 of them are full-time and 3 of them are part-time. So there's 11 staff people that are supported by, I'm going to look this number up, volunteers that gave us last year, they gave us 5,053 hours. It takes about 120 volunteers to show up every week for us to maintain the present level of services. In that very big number of volunteers, there's probably a core group of about 20 of them that have been there so long. They've been there for decades. So when they're on property and you look out the window, like my desk looks out into the indoor arena, so I can see who's in the indoor arena. And, if you look up and you see this volunteer, sometimes that's how I remember what day of the week it is. Because if these people are here, then it's got to be Thursday. If these people are here, it's got to be Monday. So you kind of know, because they're regular as clockwork and they've been doing it for such a long time, that you can really count on them like you would staff, only they're volunteers. So we've been blessed with that. Mm-hmm. And I hope that continues. We also do have a transient group, transient's a bad word, but temporary group of volunteers, because we do get a lot of kiddos that reach out from like UK and EKU, and they'll be coming. But of course, when semester ends or, their year ends, then they're not in the mix anymore. So it's always a recruitment. One of our staff, we have a volunteer coordinator named Brooke, and one of her jobs is that, she recruits and she tries to do orientations. You have to put in a little time on an orientation, because if you can't devote time to learning how to do the job, you probably aren't going to stick around. So it's important for lesson volunteers. We really try to say, it's important for lesson volunteers to stay in a session as consistent as they can be, because when you have a child with disabilities, getting on a horse can be really scary. And most of the time, they put me up, they're anxious to do it, but they do look for their people. They look for those familiar faces that they know are going to help them if something goes wrong, and so it's a great thing, because, they can hear their volunteer voices sometimes for the children in our program that are nonverbal. And you can kind of watch them before they get on their horse, and they'll start tilting their head and kind of looking for their volunteer, because they can hear their voice even in the parking lot. Mm. So it's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
As for the herd, you mentioned it's very varied. You've got various different breeds. What's the sort of horse you're looking for to come into the program? What are the special qualities these horses have?
Well, in an ideal world, for the majority of our population, you'd be looking for something that is a decent size, but not so tall that you need the basketball team to sidewalk them. So, we do need to 15, anything from 14.2 to 16 hands is ideal. Something with a really laid-back personality. And really we have a lot of Norwegian fjords in our program. Sometimes I really enjoy watching them, because they always, without fail, will provide you with comic relief in any situation, just the way they sort of engage and, get in it. So, they're a good breed for us. Quarter horses would be a good breed for us. Our thoroughbreds serve a very fine purpose out there, because they are, so when we're working with veterans, or we're working with that kind of age group, or we're even working with our high school students, sometimes you need a horse that isn't just going to stand there and be really docile. Sometimes you need a horse that's in the moment to address what they're doing. If they're loud, they're bold, they're waving their hands at you, thoroughbred is not going to just sit there and fall asleep at all that. They're going to be in the moment with you. So they serve that purpose, and they're great for that. So they have a big role out there as well. Mm. So I think we have around 8 or 9 thoroughbreds on property.
You mentioned a lot of the services that the program provides to the community. Where do you see the future going? Is there any area that you feel that CKRH could move into?
Well, we're I would call us kind of willing all the time. We'll try something and see if it sticks to the wall. If we hear about a nonprofit or we know that there's a group that we can reach out to, we'll pilot about anything and see how that works. As long as they have management, transportation, and a way to come to us, we can really try to, see what works. And so we've done a couple with various groups around town, like residential facility for veterans or hospice, those kind of organizations, and try out that population. And is this effective? And do their therapists feel it's effective? I mentioned we have a small staff, but the reason we elected to do that community collaboration model is because if we want to work, say with a group like hospice, a group like that, which we have done before, we need a bereavement counselor. But I can't afford to put all these professional therapists, on staff because, our payroll just won't handle that. If we have children that have really need like some specialized kind of therapy or something like that, we have to have a professional there that can supervise that therapy. So we're not calling ourselves more than we are. We can provide help, but if we want to say that we're providing a therapy, then we need a therapist. And so if we collaborate with organizations that can come in with their specialized therapist, then we have the correct support for what we say we do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, is that you're just really sort of like pulling the community in to help you do things. And so this has been a great thing to be involved in. I've sort of been involved in for a while, and sort of I got involved. I was invited to the Night at the Stars once, and I thought, I wasn't in the town very long, and I sort of thought, this could be pretty cool to be involved in. And it's just like more from there. It's looked after the horses, sort of on the board now, and so it has been a great thing to be involved in. It's something that you go there and you're actually doing something different, and it's just good to see another avenue where a horse can actually have an impact, which is positive, right? And these horses, as you mentioned, they all had other careers, second and third careers, and they just come in there, and some of these horses are sort of getting towards the end of their career basically, but they're just giving a little bit back, and they're just big cuddly horses, and the kids really take a shine to them. You go out there and you really do see there's a lot of very positive things happening, and it's all sort of facilitated by the horse. And it is definitely one area in the town where all of the equine practices get together, and all of the farms get together and actually contribute and sort of go towards the common goal. So it's quite the unifying force, because you sort of say, okay, well, here's something that the horse can do for the community, and it's just another extension of the generosity of the horse industry.
Well, and it's from my perspective, not only is it a credit to our community, and it's great for the horses, it's great for the participants, both those who are participating, those who are volunteering. Those are all. It's easy to see those benefits, but there's benefits to those of us who look at this from the outside and are inspired by what you are doing, and it's a great reminder to be a better person. And it's to look outside of ourselves. It's a great reminder to that. And every time that I see the things you're doing, I'm inspired.
Well, thank you. I think that feeling carries over, and that's why we have so many wonderful people that volunteer with us for so long. Because I think they leave there. Some of them will tell me that this is my therapy. This is what I do. Yeah. Or they'll come in and say, I'm at my happy place. This is the happiest place I go all week. And that's a big part of it. It's very much a feel-good kind of place most of the time.
So if we have people listening who would either like to volunteer or to donate or learn more about your organization, where can they go?
Well, they can go on our website, www.ckrh.org, or they can pick up the phone and call us. And that is 859-231-7066. And we're happy to arrange a tour, explain it in person to you a little bit more, or you can just come out and take a look around.
Okay, fabulous.
Yeah, it is really an impressive facility, and again, it's built on the people that actually volunteer and the people that work there, and it's definitely carried by the horses.
Well, we are very fortunate to have a great board of directors that supports us, and we are very excited that the future of this program, you know, a minute ago you were asking me where would you want to go next. Well, I'd like to kind of continue to make some inroads. The equine community that surrounds us is a big base of support. They help us in everything we're trying to do. You know, it resonates no matter what kind of horse you have. You know, it resonates with them. But also, you know, a direction to go into more is I think we could do a little bit more with the medical community that surrounds us as well. You know, we do things right now during the summer with like the Easter Seals and groups like that. But, you know, we're hoping to, you know, have a little bit more physician referral, because right now we're not lacking for children in our therapeutic riding program, but predominantly it's word of mouth. And, you know, I don't think there's too many doctors that are really aware or, you know, actually refer patients to us.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Pat, it's been great to have you here.
Well, it's been my pleasure to come out, and I appreciate the opportunity to help spread the word.
Yeah, no, it's great. And we're just really humbled by everything that goes on out there and by the people that actually contribute to the program. It's really inspiring to go out there. As Bart sort of said before, it is really a pretty happy place. And you walk out of there knowing that, you know, something good is happening there no matter what's going on in the rest of the world.
That's right. You know, I feel blessed because I can look out at my arena, you know, about any day, or walk out in the barn and find something that makes you so glad you're at work.
That's not something we can always say. Yeah.
You can at CKRH.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was StallSide for this week. We've been with Pat Kline, the Chief Executive of the Central Kentucky Riding for Hope. See you next time.